Welcome everyone to another Chicago Bears fan show. I'm James, and I'm going to be taking you through everything Chicago Bears this week as we lead up to our Week 8 matchup against the Carolina Panthers at Soldier Field. First things first, I'm going to look at the Bears' situation coming into this game. Second, I'm going to see where Carolina is at presently. And finally, I'm going to look at what the Bears need to focus on if they want to win this week. Alright, so the Bears are in a good place health-wise. Everyone except Jay Cutler, in terms of their starters, is completely off of the injured report, which is nice to see. Now, of course, Jay suffered a little bit of a rib injury there on the nasty hit from Ndamukong Suh, which I talked about last episode. I thought it was dirty, but anyhow, Jay looks like he's going to be fine. He's listed as probable right now, and most likely expected to start the game, as usual. Really good news for us Bears fans. Otherwise, the team as a whole is very confident. They're winning, and that breeds more confidence. So they're in a good place mentally. You've got the run game excelling right now. Forte is having a wonderful games for the Bears, racking up 100 yards easily last game. You've got a defense playing at the top of its game right now, both in terms of its ability to limit points coming on the board by the offense of the other teams, and by creating turnovers and scoring opportunities themselves. So they're doing it all right now. Unfortunately, where their weakness is in the offensive line, and even though Jay got injured early on last week and didn't look the same afterwards, there was still a lot of problems with the offensive line, giving him the protection he needed to make throws, and some obviously missed assignments in pass protection that need to be solidified as we move ahead and look to win games as we should, like this one coming up this week. But let's look at Carolina now as a team, and they're a team that's in turmoil. They're 1-5. They have a very negative vibe around the organization. The GM was just fired recently, and obviously all the coaches are on notice and on thin ice right now. And that's never a good place to be. You've got players, including one of the star players, Cam Newton, calling out their offensive coordinating abilities, calling out the play calling, and they're looking at making some wholesale changes there. So they're not in a good place as a franchise. It's a good opportunity for the Bears to pounce on them, quite frankly. In a way, I feel bad for them, though, because they've been decimated by injuries, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They lost Chris Gamble, their top corner, recently to IR. They lost Jon Beason not long before that, their top linebacker probably. And they lost their highly paid center, Ryan Kalil, who's key to both blocking and pass protecting on their offense. And they've never been the same since they lost him either. So those are three major players. They still have Cam Newton. They still have Steve Smith, sure. But you can't win with just skilled players. You need those building blocks on your team. And without them, it's hard to put together a good season. It's hard to string wins together, and it's hard to even win the games you're supposed to win. So it's going to be tough for them coming this week against the Bears. Good news for us. All right, turning now to the Bears and their situation. There's a number of things they need to do with Carolina coming into Soldier Field if they want to win. First thing, stop Cam Newton from running the ball on them. If he breaks containment, he has the biggest potential to cause problems for that defense. I want to show you a situation right now that happened last week against the Dallas Cowboys, where he did exactly that and had a monster game on the Cowboys.
Here's a common set for the Panthers. Shotgun, one back, three wides, and a tight end also standing. And we're going to have a look and see how this develops. And it's a problematic play for the Cowboys here. Now, the Cowboys are running man coverage and have 6 up on the line, as you can see here, which may or may not stay to pursue Newton. So let's move forward and see what happens here when they snap the ball. So predictably, a linebacker and the 3 defensive backs all drop with the receivers. And this is very predictable for Cam Newton to see. He sees man coverage right now, and that means he very well understands what the play is going to develop down the field like. As we can also see, 5 Dallas Cowboys that are in pursuit in the backfield. So this is going to leave a big hole as we move forward even further. Newton drops back. Now, none of these defensive backs have their eyes towards the backfield, towards Cam Newton. This is going to open up a really big hole and allow Newton to find this lane over here on this side to run, because it gets very mucked up in the middle as we progress. So let's carry on, have a look and see how this develops. Here you see Cam bail out. He gets eyes downfield really quickly, sees the situation, sees he has a really good running lane there, and he's going to take this and start to gallop, and let's let it run from here. And this turns into a gain from what should have been potentially a loss to over 20-yard run.
So what you just saw hopefully won't happen to the Bears this week. They typically don't run that style of defense in a few ways. First of all, they don't play a lot of man-to-man. Secondly, they do not tend to blitz too often. They tend to just send that key front four after the quarterback. So there's less likelihood that they'll get in a situation where Cam's able to look downfield and see big gaps with nobody looking at him in the second tier, and just being able to get around that front line. So it's not as likely to happen, but they still have to be very conscious of it. The second thing they have to make very clear of is that they do not let Steve Smith get in a single cover or a deep situation where he has gone past coverage. I'm going to now look to a piece of footage from last year's game where Carolina came in to Soldier Field. It was early in the season, and see what happened when, unfortunately, Steve Smith did get behind coverage.
All right, here is a look at what can go wrong when Steve Smith isn't paid the attention he deserves on defense. The Panthers are 3 wide, and the Bears are going to go into their classic cover 2, rush 4 type setup on defense. Here's Steve Smith. I'm gonna circle him over on down at the bottom of the screen here. He's the guy we got to watch out for on this play. Let's move forward and show what happens. So, first thing is that fake to the running back. Now, Cam initially has a first read. His eyes are going to the right side, and you can see that he wants to get the ball out to this receiver. Bears defender has recognized this in the inside and makes a break over here. What he does in doing this, he allows this man in the back to go unaccounted for. At the same time, linebacker here, I believe it's Urlacher, is trying to keep up with this receiver, and I don't think he's doing a great job of it. And what that causes for the safety in the back, who isn't picking up that man, to come up, assuming he has to help out there. Unfortunately, down at the bottom of the screen, we're going to see as we move forward here is Steve Smith allowed to go by the first corner, and after Cam realizes he can't get that ball up to the right side, he scrambles. The Bears do a good job containing, making sure there's no run available, but he does have a very strong arm, and I don't think the Bears at this point knew how strong that arm was, and he's able to find Steve Smith behind everybody, which is something that should never happen in the Bears cover 2 format of defense. He gets behind every corner, every defensive back in this case, and almost scores a touchdown in this play. If we let Steve Smith get single coverage or get deep over the top, we are in trouble, and they will put up points this week.
So clearly, something we're going to have to watch for this week. Chris Conte, Major Wright are going to have to be very aware that they do not let Steve Smith get behind them if they're that last line of defense. That's going to be their priority, quite frankly, in this game. Let the runners do what they're going to do. Let the linebackers take care of their roles and make the tackles that they need to up front. They should not bite on play action or bite on a situation where they see somebody potentially outmatched a bit in the middle of the field. They have to have Steve Smith as their number one focus, because he's the guy that could kill them. Let them dink and dunk down the field if they want to. I think it's going to be highly unlikely they're going to score points. And quite frankly, it's more likely that in that cover 2 that they tend to play, that Cam Newton is going to make mistakes. He has made a lot of mistakes this year. His completion percentage is not very good, and he's thrown a lot of picks. Anyways, in fact, let's look right now quickly at where his quarterback rating sits. Sadly enough, it is actually better than our own quarterback, Jay Cutler's, at this point in the year. Obviously, Jay's had some bad games, primarily against the Packers. Not such a great game last week against the Lions. But he doesn't tend to make as many mistakes when it counts. So I think that the Bears can capitalize on Cam Newton if they force him to try and take the short play, because I don't think he's going to want to do that. I think he's going to feel that pressure to try and win, and within that, he's going to try and force the ball downfield. So, as a team, the Bears coming into this game, I think need to mentally prepare themselves more so than usual. This has all the makings of a classic letdown or trap game. Carolina looks like a team that they should be easily able to beat. Last week was a high emotion game. And when you're coming off that emotion, it's hard to keep that up when you're playing a team that doesn't look like that big a threat, isn't a division rival. So it's a dangerous situation for them in that respect. Fortunately, they're playing at Soldier Field, and hopefully Bears Nation can support them and make sure they don't fall into that trap. Finally, what they need to be wary of is the Carolina Panthers being one of those teams that has nothing to lose. Panthers right now are going to come out fighting and clawing because they're 1-5. What are they going to do? Lose another game? That's the worst that could happen? I mean, they're going to try and do everything they can to win. They're going to go for high risk, high reward plays, I could foresee. So, in fact, they're looking at making significant changes this week on offense. The rumors are that they're going to move from a zone blocking scheme over to a power run scheme, which they have done in the past with these players. And they've installed Jonathan Stewart as a lead back, relegating D'Angelo Williams to a backup. So I could definitely foresee a change there. But do I think it's going to be enough to cause real problems for the Bears at the end of the day? No, not with their personnel, not with the way that they're playing right now. So something to watch out for, though, but I'm not overly concerned about it. Finally, what's my prediction for this game? Well, I think the Bears are going to be dominant against the Panthers as long as they don't fall back into that mental trap, and they should win by a score of 35-17. All right, everyone, enjoy the game this weekend, and bear down.